One of the things I'm most curious about regarding Sonic X Shadow Generations is the game's soundtrack. The OG gens featured many fantastic remixes of the stage themes present in the games they originated from, and I was, and still am, really excited to see what Shadow Generations brings to the table in terms of new remixes. And thankfully, we've already gotten sneak peeks of a handful of stage themes present in the game. However, the most recent remix Sega has teased, that being the Chaos Island Act 1 remix, has been pretty controversial among Sonic fans. I've seen a lot of people calling this song terrible and just ear-piercing, but I've seen a lot of other people show their enjoyment for this new remix. But why did this song cause such a divide in the Sonic community? Well, before we get into that, let's talk about the other remixes Sega has given us so far, starting with the Radical Highway trailer mix from the Summer Game Fest trailer. This one is interesting because it kind of gets rid of what made Radical Highway so cool in SA2, with its sort of industrial sound, and instead we have more of an EDM focused remix. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this one. It doesn't really live up to the hype that the original song did, but as it is now, it seems that this was only made for the Summer Game Fest trailer, as in the demo of the game, we get to hear a completely different arrangement of Radical Highway, and it sounds much better in my opinion. Now we move on to the Space Colony Arc Act 1 remix, which is not a remix of Final Chase, but rather a remix of Final Rush, which is the Sonic level in SA2. If I had to guess, Act 2 of Space Colony Arc will likely be a remix of Final Chase instead, but only time will tell. Anyway, this remix sounds really good in my opinion. It keeps the same vibe that the original track had, but adds more instrumentation to it, which I'm a huge fan of. This is how remixes should be handled if you ask me. Don't take away what made the track so good just for the sake of it sounding different. And I feel like the Kingdom Valley Act 1 remix does a good job at this too. It does sound a little more modern compared to the original, with the additional drum and bass elements, but to be completely fair, Crisis City did the same thing in the original generations, so I still think that Kingdom Valley Act 1 is still pretty good. I especially like how the Mach Speed segment of the song creeps in near the end. That's really good. We also got a brief listen to the Supporting Me and Rail Canyon remixes in some of the trailers.
New power.
The Supporting Me remix sounds really damn good, and it's going to be a perfect track when fighting the Bio Lizard. I can't say I'm a fan of the Rail Canyon remix though, because it's very EDM focused, with the main guitar melody taking a back seat. However, I do have to respect it because it is a unique track, and I understand that there is an attempt to make these songs feel similar to the old tracks, but at the same time make them sound different so they don't sound exactly the same as those old tracks. So that brings us to the Chaos Island remix. This is a very unique case, because Chaos Island and Frontiers wasn't your everyday Sonic level, so it didn't have that upbeat, fast-paced music that would normally be present in those levels. Instead, it was much more ambient and calm to fit more with the atmospheric feel of the open zones in Frontiers. So when remixing this song to make it fit into a boost level, they really had no other option but to make it completely different. Now, in execution, I do feel like this could have been handled a little better, because the Chaos Island remix in Shadow Generations features very, very heavy EDM elements, which from the reaction seen from people on Twitter, it's clear that this is not everybody's cup of tea. What makes it even weirder is the fact that the first half of the song has a ton of drum breaks and dubstep screeches and all of that stuff, with the main Chaos Island motif gradually creeping in occasionally. But the second half of the song is more focused on the actual Chaos Island sound, just with added drums. And I'm with everybody else when I say that the second half of the track is much better. The only downside is that the YouTube upload fades out way too soon, and the actual release of the track has the second part extended, which does make it sound a little better. Now, even though I'm not a huge fan of the vibe they were going for with the first half of the track, I still think that the track overall is pretty good. Now, was EDM the right choice here? Well, depending on what your music taste is, and it's all up to personal preference. However, in this case, I think they chose it to pay homage to Sonic Frontiers, specifically with the cyberspace stuff. Those stages are practically known for having soundtracks that feature heavy EDM and dubstep and drum and bass and all of that stuff. So I wonder if they saw that and thought, okay, why don't we remix the Frontiers track in Shadow Generations with those elements? It's not what I was expecting from the Chaos Island remix, but when I think about it more, it starts making more sense. So even if you don't like the track, I don't think it's worth disregarding the entire soundtrack for the game. Sonic games have always had tons of variety when it comes to music genres, so even if you're not a fan of EDM or other electronic music, then there's still stuff in the game that you will most likely enjoy. So just respect each other's opinions and music tastes and leave it at that. No point in starting stupid arguments over something as minuscule as a soundtrack in a video game. So yeah, I just wanted to cover this situation and give my honest thoughts on it. So far, I think the Shadow Generation soundtrack sounds really good, and I can't wait to hear more of it. But before ending this video, I wanted to give another plug to the SF Citadel Discord server. I'm currently hosting a Sonic X Shadow Generations giveaway, so if you're interested in that, or if you're just interested in talking with me in the community, then feel free to join. I'll leave a link in the description. But for now, that's all for me. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.